What an answer.
Business Association, led by the chair, Mr. Mwangi Mushemi. We have the Nakuru County Tourism Association, led by the chair, Mr. Mwangi as well. We have the Chamber of Commerce, here led by the manager. The top market traders, led by their chair, Mr. Okumu. We have representatives of agencies of national government here. He's with us here. We have Mr. Daniel Masinjila of KIE, Kenya Industrial Estates. Asante sana. We have Madam Magembe Matthews Kiveu, who is representing the regional manager. Thank you very much. We have Family Bank representative. It's our day as the trade, industry, tourism, and cooperative sector, because in 2018, at the beginning of 2018, on realization that this sector has been operating without a framework. There was no legal framework for us to engage with the private sector for business, the tourism sector for marketing, the cooperative sector for development and support, and the SME sector. So you gave direction that we embark on a journey of developing a legal framework that will give us life to work with the sectors that we have mentioned. Your Excellency, you passed this through the cabinet, and this was passed to the County Assembly. And I must say that the County Assembly in the year 2019, under the leadership of the Speaker, did a wonderful job because they passed the bill, they took it through public participation. These stakeholders who are here are those that led in participating towards giving their input and the feedbacks of the proposals. Your Excellency, the County Assembly in December passed this bill. You had intended to sign this into law in March of this year, but sir, this was delayed because of the COVID issues, but we're happy that today you will be assenting or passing these bills into law. And we are sincerely grateful as a sector. Before I proceed, sir, I wanted one representative per sector to say a word or two, then I can proceed. And I will start with the Nakuru Business Association. Mr. Mwangi Mushemi, I'll give you a minute to say, well, karibu sana, Mr. Bushemi.
Members, my fellow chairs, members, ladies and gentlemen, habari zenyu. It's very good. Today, we as the Nakuru Business Association, or business, what you call business management organizations, I think are very happy. Today, as I said, it's 2018. In fact, I cracked a joke earlier with CAC Kitenyi. Told him it's been a long journey from 2018. The truth of the matter is, when we started with the governor when he was campaigning, one of the things we tried to push the governor to do when he was campaigning was to commit a forum that will be able to interact as a private sector and the county. I don't know if governor, maybe if he says, the governor can remember that. To a higher level. And that is what leadership is all about. It's about making sure people are better than you when you came in than when you're getting out. That's what leadership is about. It's about making sure that whatever you do, if it's a trade bill, as CAC Komel has mentioned, it affects the people. And that's what we want it to do. All we appreciate is that also we appreciate that the people who are with the team are people who are actually in business. Actually, Komel was once my bank manager. So, and you can see a lot of people who are in the county are people who have worked in the private sector and going into the public sector. We want that thing to be an honest relationship where people don't fear working in the county because of other things. Finally, just to say that we appreciate the fact that it's delayed because we know the public sector is a bit harder to work than the private sector. It's not a one-person decision, it's a teamwork, and sometimes people have diverse views. And we also appreciate that at this time during the COVID epidemic, is that things don't move as fast as we want it to do. But as Nakuru County, as Dave Mwangi said here earlier, is that we appreciate the fact that we have not been affected so much in Nakuru County in terms of the sickness, but in terms of our businesses, yes, we have been affected. We must, as a county, and as traders and as businessmen, find a way in which we can overcome this. Now, just one thing we'll advertise. We are doing a Nakuru Business Expo, virtual expo, the first in Nakuru, where we're trying to make people understand that you can still market your goods using technology. And I think one of the things that we are trying to do very hard, and we're trying to incorporate the county and everybody else, is that we have to survive. We have to keep moving on. That is life. COVID is just a disease in a circle of life, and us guys have to overcome that. With that, I think very much, thank you very much. Thank you, CECs that will work undercover for all this thing. Thank you, Bona Governor, for all this. Thank you, Maina Cairo, QS, because of the thing you've done in the county. Asante sana. Thank you.
Governor is the SME fund bill that we are calling the Enterprise Fund Bill. This, Your Excellency, seeks to establish a fund that can give cheaper financing to the SMEs and to the business sector of Nakuru. The third one, Your Excellency, is the Cooperative Revolving Development Fund. This seeks to support the cooperative movement through access to cheaper financing. And lastly, Your Excellency, is the Tourism and Marketing Bill. Your Excellency, Nakuru County is a key tourism county in this country, and this bill will, this once enacted, it will give the private sector and the county government as a stronger role in terms of marketing and in terms of seeking partnerships to promote tourism within our county. Your Excellency, I want to invite Madam Jocelyn Gasheri. Jocelyn Gasheri, she's a member and chair of Ukombozi Sacco.
Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, the Governor, County Attorney, CECs and CEOs present, the Cooperative Revolving Fund since the advent of devolution, and we are therefore delighted that you have made it happen today. The cooperative societies exist to empower their members who are citizens of this county to access affordable funds to investment in their businesses, education, housing, farming, among other sectors. Your Excellency, the Nakuru County Cooperative Revolving Fund will bridge the financial gaps that exist in most cooperative societies and ultimately through its members. These funds will generate more investment in the county. As members of the cooperative movement, we shall continue to work closely with your government and especially the Department of Trade and Department of Trade in the county. Sorry. Directorate of Cooperative to ensure that cooperative societies take full advantage of this fund to better their businesses and lives. Your Excellency, Nakuru County has a large, vibrant cooperative movement comprised of about 530 active cooperatives. Sir, we therefore appeal to your government to ensure that the fund is properly supported and financed. Especially in the formative stages, we will in turn pledge that as a movement, loans advanced to societies from the fund shall be applied for the purposes of which they are being borrowed for. This is the only way to guarantee growth of fund and cooperative movement in Nakuru County. Finally, Your Excellency, we take this opportunity to thank everyone who has participated in making this Nakuru Cooperative Revolving Fund Act a reality. On behalf of the cooperative movement, asante sana, Your Excellency. Long life the cooperative movement, long life Nakuru County. Thank you.
Show that Nakuru County, in terms of cooperatives, compared to the 47 counties, is the second in terms of mobilization of funds and in terms of performance. So this is really critical for the cooperative sector. Finally, Your Excellency, I want to invite the chairman of the Nakuru County Tourism Association, Bwana David Mwangi, to give his comments.
Of the County Assembly of Nakuru, CECs present, County Assembly members present, my colleagues in the tourism industry, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen. Mine is to congratulate Your Excellency for this great milestone. It's a journey that has started a few years ago, and we have been waiting for this to come. The reason being, as a sector in tourism, we have been segmented, doing our small things in our small way, but now with this framework, legal framework, we are able to come together and market this particular county, market this as a destination. Allow me, Your Excellency, to say a few things on behalf of my stakeholders in tourism. I want to say that statistics world over have shown that 1 in every 10 people in the society have been employed by tourism or hospitality. That brings a lot of money or a lot of effort into the building of the economy. And today, as we stand here today, we are representing a county of diversity. This county is full of all that you are looking for in tourism. We have 11 sub-counties, and every sub-county has its uniqueness. And with this bill that Your Excellency you are presenting today, we are able to bring together every strength of every sub-county and market it to the world. I am reminded of what happened in Kigali, the remarkable Rwanda. Remarkable Rwanda, you can imagine what happened to Rwanda in the year 1994, 1995. Nobody thought that Rwanda can come up and right now be the leading in conferencing, especially in the area of mice in Africa. We are able to do more than what Rwanda have done. And Nakuru here, if you look at the sub-county, for example, look at just Naivasha, which is the farthest sub-county from this side. Naivasha itself has two national parks, the Hell's Gate and Mount Longonot National Park. It has 3 lakes, Lake Naivasha, Lake Oloiden, and Crater Lake. That particular area on its own is a destination. And with this now, the Marketing and Tourism Fund or board, we are able to market that particular destination. We are able to market Elementator as a destination, which is an international Ramsar site. We are able to market Nakuru city and its environment as a destination. So I want to congratulate you and say that this is a leap forward. And I want also to say that the whole of Nakuru County, we have 1,500, by the close of last year, we have 1,541 restaurants, hotels, and bars. and all those pay what we call the tourism fund, they pay licenses. So it is a critical sector of the economy. And when you look at all those, they have employed between 33 and 35,000 staff members. Right now we are affected because of the COVID, but look at 33 to 35,000 staff members coming from all these families to work in this sector. It is a big leap. So what are the ways that we are looking as the way forward to revamp this industry, especially now after this COVID? Because we never know for how long we shall be with this in this situation. We are looking at the first thing as the rehabilitation of labor, how we can rehabilitate labor. All these 33,000 people are out there. We have closed almost 80% of our facilities. We are trying to reopen back, but what is the driving force? The driving force for reopening is business. If we continue speaking the good things about this industry, people will come back. So we are saying, if we can rehabilitate, if there is a way, I know in the US what they are doing, they looked at this sector and they gave around 3 months salary to some of the most vulnerable members of the society who work in this particular sector. If there is a way that we can help those people, because they are skilled people, we don't want them to change career. We don't want them to stay there and start doing other things. If there is a way we can rehabilitate them, then that would be good. The second thing is to market. How can we market this county? Your Excellency, I've traveled to several counties, and I can tell you we have the best county in terms of resources, in terms of attraction. Let me give you just one example. In the whole of this country, we have 17 lakes. 6 of those lakes are in Nakuru here. And you know the essence of a water body. Most of the people, when they book in our hotel, they ask, do you have a swimming pool? Not because they can swim, but just because they want to see that water body. Here we have permanent 6 water bodies. We can rehabilitate them. We can enjoy them. And there are several. I went to a particular county, Your Excellency, and they were struggling to show me a lake because it is hidden in a mountain and it's covered with snow. So they are struggling to say there is a lake here. As we are not struggling, we have already 6 lakes. If there is a way we can have funds to market the whole of this county, this particular tourism and marketing board, if it can get funds from the county government, even from other stakeholders, we are able to bring out this particular county as one of the best counties in this country. Thank you so much.
And we have a very good, Your Excellency, sir, you tasked us, and we really picked up fast with the tourism sector, and we had done quite well. We are affected, we are really affected, but I'm sure today with the enactment of this law, we will pick up fast and move on. Sir, as I have finished with the private sector, today as you enact this law, we hope that from tomorrow, we can quickly operationalize the laws so that they can take effect. Your Excellency, the sector is here, really waiting for your word on how we will support them through this legislation. So without much to continue, I want to invite the County Assembly now, through the Trade Committee that are represented here, to come forward and give their remarks. Chairman is here, Vice Chairman, karibuni sana. And we're sincerely grateful for the speed at which you took to pass it at the Assembly.
Excellency, the Trade Committee, it has not been easy. It was 2018, Your Excellency, sir, and we have engaged a lot. What you gave us was quite raw, and through the interaction with the executive and all the stakeholders whom I have to thank really hard, we were able to do what you were able to do, sir. What awaits here and what is key, we are waiting for the regulations. And what we want to assure, as soon as they land on our table, because the regulations have to be there to operationalize the laws, we are ready to do it as soon and as fast as possible. Your Excellency, what is key about these bills is that they come at a time when we have been talking about recovery from the pandemic. And sir, the expectations of these people across, and for the first time, we are talking about coverage of all the wards. Either you are touched by the trade bill in terms of operationalization, working with the small traders, either you are working with the enterprise fund bill in terms of giving small money to people, to small scale people, but most importantly, sir, is about cooperatives. In every sub-county, we have a whole list of people. So this as a bill is going to support and help the people who are the grassroots. But most importantly, Your Excellency, among the what we can call the foreign exchange earners, if you can use that word in Nakuru, is tourism. We can never go wrong on tourism. I mean, we are the center. So all the counties on the side of the western, they pass through Nakuru. We have been very passionate about that. What we intended to do, sir, out of the bills that you gave us, is to make sure the players themselves, the players in tourism, the players in business, they will not be talking from outside. They are now part of the boards. And especially if you look at the tourism board, I mean the tour operators, all the people in hospitality, they are part of the board. So they'll be talking from inside. That's what we're able to achieve. Sir, we know the budget is tight. And the hope of all the people of Nakuru right now is that you'll be able to make a very earth-shaking announcement today here, where money is going to come from before we pass the budget. So you give us the money, we pass the money, and immediately these bills are operationalized from the 1st of July. I think that is what the most important thing here, because everybody wants the recovery plan to come on board. And I'm very sure, sir, you are timing to make sure you send them today before the start of the new year. You have an idea how you want to cover the issue of recovery, and with these 4 bills, the economic recovery after pandemic in Nakuru is going to be very great. That is our hopes, and that's what we hope to see. Your Excellency, I thank you so much for your time. We are ready to work together. Any other law that is needed to give force, we are ready to work together and partner as we have done in this one. I thank you.
National Assembly, my fellow CECs, the MCAs who are here, our chief officers, all the county staff, our partners in the private sector, as well as the fourth estate who are here with us today. I'm extremely pleased because this is a journey that we started, as all the other speakers have said, in 2018, where under the leadership of the governor, the cabinet was able to review and approve the 4 bills that have been mentioned: the Enterprise Fund Bill, the Cooperative Revolving Fund, the Trade License, and the Tourism and Marketing Bill. I remember, Governor, when you appointed me in 2017, I found myself in a very peculiar situation. I went to an office that had been locked for 4 years. We did not have a substantive CEC for trade for 4 years. So together with the team, now we had the challenge of now putting in place a legislative framework that can be able to guide us. And I must say the private sector has played a key role. And actually 2 of the bills are to be able to facilitate more involvement of the private sector. As a county, our role is to create an enabling environment. But it is the private sector ultimately who are going to drive economic growth within the country. So I must thank the private sector for that. As has been mentioned, this was also a very consultative process that went through a very detailed program. We were able to take our trade committee, led by their chairman, Bwana Langat, to go and even do benchmarking in Laikipia, in Eldoret, so that they could be able to see that this is something that is very practical, that can be able to work. Specifically for 2 of the bills, the Enterprise Fund Bill and the Cooperative Revolving Fund, the main aim was to be able to give people affordable credit, because we realized the interest rates that were prevailing were extremely high, and businesses cannot be able to thrive in such a situation. So we felt that with those 2 bills, if we can be able to put in the seed capital and invite other partners to come on board, then the SMEs can be able to access the cheap credit and can be able to grow. As I conclude, I also want to just congratulate my brother Raymond. It is easy to start something, but to conclude it is an entirely different thing altogether. So I want to congratulate him, and I think now the hard work starts. We need to implement these 4 bills as soon as possible. So I want to assure him that of my support.
So business community, you have heard for yourselves, the person in charge of finance is here to support us. Simupigie makofi tena. Thank you. Your Excellency, before I conclude, I mentioned that we have representatives of financial intermediaries here, as the MCER and the KIE and the banks. Your Excellency, they also were expecting us to have a framework, then they can partner with us in achieving the objectives of the funds that we aim to embark on. So I want to now take this opportunity to invite the Speaker of the County Assembly to make his remarks. Karibu, Mheshimiwa.
The Governor of Nakuru County, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, the CEC is present, the Clerk of the County Assembly, the Chairman of the Trade Committee, all MCAs present, the business community for the states, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Habari ya asubuhi. Hey. Hamjambo. Asante. Your Excellency, today is a milestone in this county of ours, the county of opportunities. Your Excellency, through these bills, we are creating the opportunities for the business community. We are reviving the hopes of our business people, the SMEs who could not access credit, the tourism sector, the traders, and all the people who are doing business in this county. I want to start by, first of all, congratulating the Department of Trade in your executive for the job well done. I also want to congratulate the Trade Committee at the County Assembly. This is historic. In this second assembly, we are seeing a committee presenting 4 bills, and that has been exemplary work. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman, for the work well done. Just a word on that, I want to say, appreciate the Chairman and the Committee for Trade. Thank you. I want to say, besides that, as individual MCAs, you are also going into history as people who published bills that are going to change the lives of Nakuru people. And I want to make special mention to the Chairman, Bwana Paul Lagat, stand up and wave. He sponsored the bill on county trade bill, and he signed the bill. You're going into history as the sponsor of that bill. I also want to congratulate Dr. Mbai, who was just here. He sponsored the Cooperative Development Fund bill. Also want to congratulate Honorable Kiere Machoka from Kehingo. He sponsored the Enterprise Fund bill. And Honorable Elizabeth Geshoke, who is not here, and she moved from the Trade Committee, but she sponsored the Tourism and Marketing bill. Why I mention them is because when you move a bill, you have a lot of work to convince other members to pass it. So they have done a lot of work, their input has been felt, and that also encourages other MCAs who have not sponsored any bill. This is a challenge. By the time we leave, or by the time this term ends, make sure that one day we are coming to sign a bill that you've sponsored. Your Excellency, the role of the County Assembly is facilitative, both in terms of social and economic. We at the County Assembly are ready to receive proposals from your government and from the private sector on any legislative agenda that they may want us to legislate on. However, we note that the process is also quite costly because you have to engage, as Waziri Kitenya said here, sometimes you even have to go and do benchmarking out and to engage the stakeholders through the public participation. And it takes quite some time because the bill has to come to the House, be read for the first time, taken out for deliberations, it is returned, be read for the second time, again consultations, and finally when the bill is ready for the third time, that's when now it passes to be a bill which we forward to you. And I want to thank you, Your Excellency, because the first time we forwarded the bill, you together with your legal team were able to look at the bill and you realized that it had some gaps. You returned the bill and the Committee on Trade worked on it and sealed those loopholes and returned it to you. So it is not an easy thing. So if you have to, if you want to have a legislation, maybe by next year, you should start now. Your Excellency, the Assembly shall continue monitoring the implementation of these bills, and as it has been rightly put by the Waziri here, Raymond Komen and Waziri Kitienye, we need these bills implemented immediately. But before you implement these bills, we are expecting to have regulations. So we are waiting for the regulations from you after we have signed these, so that we pass them to operationalize these bills. We are all partners in this. The executive, the assembly, and the private sector. And we should continue working together. So at this particular juncture, I also want to congratulate the private sector, especially the ones who are represented here, for the enormous input that they gave us during the preparation of these bills. And we are looking forward for even further consultation. Besides the normal budgeting process that we do and the participation, we are looking for even better proposals from you to make other sectors also vibrant and to have a legal framework for the same. Your Excellency, allow me to say that having said the challenges that we have, we expect your government to allocate more resources to the County Assembly. But also allow me to thank you for the facilitation that you have been assisting us where we are not able to. Like, for example, the benchmarks that he has talked about. Continue doing that. We as an assembly do appreciate, and we shall continue to legislate and to support your government. Your Excellency, sir, allow me to stop there and say, as an assembly, we have done one of the roles that we are supposed to do. We have 3 roles. One is legislation, which we are doing today. The second is representation, which our honorable members have been doing very perfectly. And the third one is oversight. For all the roles, everything is going on well. And we want to assure the people of Nakuru that the County Assembly of Nakuru will continue in all their deliberations to put them first. All the interest of the people of Nakuru shall come first in all the 3 functions that we've given you. Thank you very much. Stay safe. COVID is real. Tujichunge. But we also want to thank God that we have managed it well in this county of Nakuru. We don't have many cases. Mungu wabariki, Mungu walinde. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Sir, Your Excellency, I want to take this opportunity to
Speaker of the Nakuru County Assembly, my colleagues, the honorable members of the County Assembly, the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, we have an exercise before us which is very crucial for our county. And without much ado, I'll call upon the clerk to the County Assembly to come up front in readiness for assent by His Excellency the Governor. He starts with the Enterprise Fund bill. Thank you very much. God bless you. The next one is the Cooperative Revolving Fund bill. Last but not the least, the Honorable Speaker of the County Assembly to come up front. the Nakuru County
Now my pleasure and privilege to call upon His Excellency the Governor of our great county, Nakuru,
Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, to come up front for assent of the 4 bills.
Please come forward.
You can come up front. Try to keep social distancing, brothers and sisters, in compliance with the directives.
Nakuru County Enterprise Fund Bill 2019.
We have the second bill for assent, Nakuru Cooperative Revolving Development Fund. With the third bill for assent, Nakuru County Bill. The fourth bill for assent, the Nakuru County Marketing Bill. Your Excellency, situpigie gavana makofi tafadhali. Your Excellency, we are grateful. I will not
Take any more minutes, but I want to use this chance to invite you, Your Excellency, to give your address on this auspicious day for us. Karibu sana, Your Excellency.
The clerk to our assembly, our chairman of the committee responsible and members of the county assembly, our business association leadership, from tourism to Nakuru Business Association, to the Chamber, and all our very important stakeholders who are here with us today. Allow me to express my gratitude at the completion of this exercise, because as you have heard from our previous speakers, this conversation started way back in 2018 when we realized that there existed no framework for us to engage. And as you all know, when you spend government resources in an unregulated environment, the chances of misuse or lack of proper accountability sometimes becomes an issue. And this was also informed by the fact that we visited some of our cooperatives. We saw what they were doing, and many of them were doing very commendable work. But you always had that little thing that if they got just a little bit support, they would move to the next level. A good example is one of our cooperatives in Subukia. They have been processing milk, but for the longest period, they've not been able to package it and sell it out there. So they say they need a generator, they require some support in packaging, and we felt as a county, we would want to develop our cooperative so that from where they were, they could now become something big. But that would not have been possible without creating this Cooperative Revolving Fund that would allow such a cooperative to come and say, we need 5 million, we need 3 million, we need 10 million. You are given the conditions and maybe the grace period, and within time you can pay and we move forward. So these bills were informed by experiences when we went. This SME also. Allow me to say our banks, although there has been a major improvement, the language of the SME, if you ask them for their ledger, if you ask them for their balance sheets, and a lot of those very intimidating sort of statements, they do not have. If you ask them for their audited accounts for the last 3-4 years, they do not have. And as a result of that, our SME largely remains unfinanced. Therefore, as a county, we felt that there is a lot of effort by national government and other non-governmental players to support the sector. But money is not enough to support the sector. We needed to create an environment that would also put some of these things into focus and help us to tap this big area. You are all aware that Nakuru is the home of SMEs. In the whole country, with the exception of Nairobi, Nakuru has the highest number of SMEs, which simply means if you combine even Mombasa and Kisumu, you do not get the number of SMEs that are here. But beyond having the high number of SMEs, we are also saying that we want SMEs that transit. You don't want to be an SME from year 1, year 10, year 20, year 30, you remain an SME. And I must say this is really one area that we really want to work on. That you don't start as a cobbler or a guy making furniture by the roadside, and 20, 30 years later, you're in the very same place where you started. So how can we help our SMEs to transit, to move from informal to corporate and to be able to participate even in government tenders and in bigger corporate engagements? And it is for that bill, it's for that reason that we also came with this enterprise fund, which we're also hoping that working with our commercial banks, we can do what you call a matching sort of portfolio. The bank can give a certain amount, the county can also give certain amounts, and together we can talk to our fundis, our mechanics, and all these people so that we can transit. It is said that if you want the economy to grow, especially like now, if you give 10,000 to a person in the SME, most likely by evening they will have spread that money across the entire sector, because they require to buy materials, they require to buy labor, they require to pay rent, they require to pay their bills. And therefore right now, especially because of this COVID, the area that can help us to get our economy on track is a small and medium enterprise. And I want to agree with our speaker and to the other teams that have spoken that this remains the surest way for us to get our economy back on track. And I also want to take this opportunity to announce that we've been in discussions with the national government, with the Ministry of Industrialization, with a view to coming up with a structure on how this sector can be supported. And these bills that we have come up with today offer that structured engagement where we can now have a fund that can sign an agreement with KCB, with Cooperative Bank, with Equity, Family Bank, and any other player to give specific funding for this sector. And also government that is also keen, the national government that is also keen to have some of these sectors revived for the good of the economy. Allow me also to say in closing, with respect to tourism, I want to agree with Mwangi, who said that we have huge potential in Nakuru, and I must say that a lot of our sites remain largely virgin, meaning they've not been explored. And the purpose of tourism is to the extent that people can come and visit those places, pay some food, pay for accommodation, pay for touring and all that. And when you look at the number of tourists we get every year against our potential, we get the impression we are only 20% of where we should be. And therefore, coming up with this tourism and marketing bill is meant to help us to position the county favorably. And I heard the chairperson of the hotel say that Nakuru is one of the top destinations. So we want to move away from that statement from one of the top to what? To the top. We have no reason and no justification to be number 2 to anybody. You know, we have the land, we have the people, we have the investment, we have the right culture in terms of attracting tourism. And our prayer is that if you're able to work with the tourism players, with the investors, with the training institution to have the right people in this area, tourism is going to be a major drive in this county of Nakuru. And allow me to say also that we are not responsible for what happens in the world. There will always be tragedies. There will always be outcomes that we don't like. But as it is, ours is to make the best of the situation. The Rwandan situation that has been cited here, after the genocide, everybody thought everybody would run away. But now we go there to see skulls and to see how they have recovered from the genocide of 1994. So it is also for Nakuru and the larger Kenya, for that matter, that we must also use this opportunity to find how we can position our country, ourselves for the county, and to say that there are very many attractions that have not been explored. I've been discussing the phenomena of rising lakes across the entire Rift Valley. Here in Nakuru alone, we have the lake expanding about 30% of the previous waters. That may be a reason for us to be sad, but it would bring over 1 million visitors here to understand the phenomena of rising lakes that has not been seen anywhere. So the issue of marketing becomes very important, and how we can take the little things that have happened and turn it positively so that everybody in the world can ask, have you visited Kenya to see the rising lakes? So these are the discussions we want to have. These are the conversations that must be encouraged. And next week on Tuesday, we will be hosting the National Minister for Water, Cecily Kariuki, so that we can explore the issue of the rising lakes within the larger Rift Valley and see how we can also turn it. But for the hotel industry, I also want to ask you, don't sit there lamenting. Can we now look at this as a marketing point, as something that scientists and all players across the world can come? And that is what this marketing bill is all about. And for us, it is very difficult when you're selling a product that has no real distinct features. But when you look from our Hell's Gate, if you look at our Longonot hike, if you look at our Menengai, if you look at our lakes, if you look at our Mao, where we can also have those walking Nene's made. So there's a lot we can do here. But as I said, there was no structured approach for marketing the county. And I want to thank the team that has come up with this tourism and marketing bill that will help us to unravel all those issues that I've said. So, in a nutshell, I want to say that these bills will unlock the county's potential to realize our aspirations in tourism, in cooperatives, in the SME sector, and more importantly, during this post-COVID period, where we are all asking, how can we reignite the economy? how can we pump some stimulus into the economy so that some of these businesses can come up. And while on that also, let me confirm that next week on Monday we'll be having a roundtable meeting with the Ministry of Industry. They will be coming here, and some of the areas they'll be looking at is how well we are prepared to tap from the economic stimulus that the government will be offering. And these are some of the answers that we'll have. With that, allow me also to mention one or two things outside these bills. And one is to appreciate that our county has not had as devastating numbers as some of our neighboring counties with respect to the COVID-19. And I think it didn't just happen. Some of the measures we took early enough, including decongesting our markets, closing some of the markets where different traders would one day go to Lenguruoni, tomorrow they go to the next center. We stopped all that way early enough. And we know it has had very serious negative impacts on our economy, but we think it is a price that we do not regret having taken. We'll continue that, and we'll also be informed by our professional, our medical experts, as and when some of these things can be reviewed with a view to getting back to normalcy. But in the meantime, it has become clear to us that with every passing day, the COVID numbers keep going up. So you hear out of a sample of 2,000 or 3,000, 100 have turned positive. So if that sample got to 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 per day, maybe the cases would also double, triple, and so on. So the reality is that the numbers we get to hear every day are only a reflection of those that have been tested. And that therefore simply means the disease could have a higher prevalence among us. And for that reason, we have been saying, kindly suspect everybody you meet. Do not, we get into situations where later on somebody turns positive, and this is when you start regretting why you didn't wash your hands, why you didn't keep social distance. But I guess even with our arrangement here today, we want to say that everybody other than yourself is a suspect for this COVID thing. So keep the distance, keep your mask, wash your hands as much as possible, and when later one of you turns positive, we don't have to go back and have some of those challenges. And closely related to that, for the county, we have also realized that some of these measures came in March, and we allowed some of our staff to work at home, some of them not to come because we did not want serious infections. But from yesterday, I have instructed our county secretary to come up with protocols on return to work. Because if we continue to reduce our workforce, what will happen is that this disease could be here for a year or 2 or 3. What will happen to our food security? What will happen to these sort of bills that we are here to pass? And all the other things. So the bigger question now we are getting into is how can we prevent ourselves and at the same time go to work? And that's a conversation we'll also be involving the private sector so that we can see more and more of these areas open up for the greater good. And specifically for the hotel industry, I want also to challenge you that other parts of the world, people now want a seamless interaction with their hotel accommodation. You want to check online, you want to book online, you want to pay online, so that that personal engagement is reduced, and therefore the possibility of infection can also be removed. So again, we will be calling upon the hotel industry so that we can come with protocols on how we can return to work and not risk our people when they go back to work. Then we have also been talking about the economic stimulus, and I'm happy to note that recently through the budget and the president's speech, a total of 3 billion shillings has been set aside for the hospitality industry. And these resources are meant to help us to get the hotel industry back on its feet. I've already written to the concerned Ministry of Tourism, and what we are simply asking is, can Nakuru get its fair share? It would be extremely wrong that when you want to think tourism, we just think of the coasts or maybe some other places and forget that Nakuru is a critical member of the entire tourism circuit. So I also want to challenge you, especially in the hospitality sector, get yourself aligned so that you have viable business plans, so that you have ways in which you can modernize and work with the industry within the given confinements. And I will also be asking the tourism ministry to send some of the officers here so that we can have an engagement on how we can move forward. But I'll be happy to hear that 20, 30, 40% of that money has come to some of our hotels. In Naivasha, we have an excellent conferencing environment. How can we make that one better? Here in Nakuru, we also have wonderful opportunities. How can we make that better? And this fund is meant to help us to open as soon as the economy is up. And therefore, I want to urge all of you in the hospitality industry to work towards that. And I will be in the forefront to make sure that what belongs to Nakuru will finally come back to Nakuru. Lastly, allow me to say that we have about 530 cooperatives, as you've been informed here. But we also are saying that our cooperatives must not remain what they were 10, 20 years ago. We want to hear cooperatives that transit and later become big enterprises. You are aware that some of the biggest players in the dairy sector, including Githongori Dairy Cooperative, who produce the fresher milk, started as cooperatives just like what we have here today. And I'm happy that through our CEC for Agriculture, we are also coming up with a strategy to bring all our cooperatives, especially in the dairy sector, with a view to start processing milk that will be done right here from Nakuru. So there are many things we have planned in the days to come. We want to work with specifically the cooperative movement, because we believe that the easiest way to get wealth to the people at the lowest level is through the SME and the cooperative movement. So we will be engaging you, and we hope that in the next few months, if not maybe a year or two, we should be able to get milk that has been produced by our farmers, processed by our cooperatives, and also marketed by our cooperatives. And you're all aware that when you do value addition in milk, you get about 40 to 50%. So that is the 40, 50% that we want to go back to our farmers. And we'll be supporting them in every way possible. Allow me to end there, to thank all of you for coming, and to assure you of our continued commitment to make Nakuru a better and greater county. Thank you.
Thank CEC, the former CEC Trade, Dr. Peter Kichenyi, for being pioneer of these bills. Thank you, Wana Waziri. I would also like to thank the Speaker of County Assembly, Honorable Kairu. Thank you so much. I also want to thank entire Kaeke Saitoti. Thank you, Saitoti. We also have our Investment Support Officer, Madam Joyce Nyambura. Thank you. We have Monica and Resources, Madam Gladys Kimeu. Thank you. We have some of our staff. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Tumeshukuru sana. Thank you. We close by word of prayer from Mr.
Tusimame tuombe.